Stimulus fading. A stimulus, maybe a prompt, is gradually decreased until it is gone. How can we implement stimulus fading? Reduction in the physical qualities of the stimulus. Visibility, physical contact, volume, etc. Let's look how we would fade back that extra stimulus prompt I had, the one with the arrow. So this would be an example of prompt fading. We're going to fade this extra stimulus prompt out. So we start out with it being just like it was, but then we can change the dimensions of it. We can make it smaller and smaller until it's gone. That would be fading out the extra stimulus prompt. Now let's look at an example of stimulus fading. There's a really good example of stimulus fading. We're teaching this individual how to do 7 minus 2. If you notice, there are people in the picture. Those people are stimuluses to help the person to look at and count to get the correct answer. And if you notice throughout the page, the stimulus is fading. They're becoming less and less apparent. The stimuluses were there to help promote the person to count to complete the math problems. But remember, we want the person to be able to respond to just seeing 7 minus 2. So we have to fade out the extra help. And that's exactly what this picture is showing. That is an example of stimulus fading. We are making the stimulus less and less apparent until we can totally fade it out. Stimulus fading can be used to get rid of prompts entirely, or it can be used to transfer stimulus control from one stimulus to a more naturally occurring one. What does that mean? Stimulus control transfer. This is done to transfer behavioral control from stimulus prompts to naturally occurring stimuli, or the SD. You are transferring behavioral control from one antecedent to a more naturally occurring antecedent. In this case, an SD, an instruction. This minimizes errors, and it is something that you're doing throughout the session. This isn't something you just say, oh, I'm going to do this. It's something you're always doing when you're systematically fading back prompts. You do this when you are running discrete trials, incidental teaching, chaining, basically any program, by fading back those prompts. You are transferring the control of the prompt to the more naturally occurring antecedent, the instruction. So to illustrate this, let's go back to our elephant example. When I say touch elephant, and the person touches the elephant because of that arrow, they are really touching the elephant because of that prompt, right? I'm giving them that hint. But as I fade that prompt back, and I still use the same instruction, touch the elephant, while I'm fading that prompt back, what I'm doing is I'm transferring the control of that arrow, the stimulus control of them touching the elephant because of the arrow, to my more naturally occurring one, which is me saying touch the elephant. So as I fade that back, and then I can test it without the presence of a prompt, I can say touch the elephant, and if they are able to touch that elephant without the presence of that arrow, I can say that I've transferred the control of the stimulus, the arrow, to my more naturally occurring, me saying touch the elephant, the SD. I can say that a stimulus was transferred.